Cycling is one of the few sports that manages to combine tragedy with victory quite as it does. While there is perhaps no greater delight in the sport than achieving victory on your own, there is certainly no greater agony than being involved in a collision at a high rate of speed. This is made abundantly clear in no other event than the Tour de France. Cyclists from all over the world who have trained their bodies to the breaking point are willing to put themselves in harm's way in order to have the opportunity to write themselves into the annals of cycling history. It is not uncommon for them to take place in the frenetic last meters of a pack race. On other occasions, they take place as a result of going full speed down a mountainside. Curious to know? Hey folks, welcome back to your favorite channel, Cycling News Live. Today in this video, we are going to discuss the hardest crashes or incidents that happened in professional road cycling. The Tour de France has a whirl of the peloton, treacherous mountain passes, the beautiful French landscape, frantic sprints, and sadly, many crashes. Nobody can predict when or where they'll strike, but one thing is certain, it will. It's often the fault of the rider. At one point, a police officer led the way for a group shot. A dog has again strayed onto the track. Many riders' tour hopes have been dashed by accidents, including Cadel Evans, an Australian, in 2010. Some people have suffered much more severe repercussions than others, unfortunately. In the video today, we are going to discuss the scariest and hardest accidents or crashes that occurred during road cycling. We hope, friends, that you love the video and would find it useful, as the topic is very important for all of us to know. So before getting into the video, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon if you haven't done it yet, so as to not miss any updates. Guys, many of you saw our videos, but missed to subscribe the channel. But guys, it's your support only which would help us to deliver every piece of information to your doorstep. So do participate in the process. In a sport, solo triumph brings the greatest sense of accomplishment, but a high-speed collision is the most painful experience. In no other context is this more obvious than in the Tour de France. Cyclists from all over the world are willing to put their bodies on the line in pursuit of fame and glory. However, not every one of these tales ends happily. Here are 7 of the worst crashes in Tour history, which have become as legendary as any of the race's greatest victories. The following are 7 of the Tour de France's most infamous falls, which are on par with the race's most notable victories in terms of notoriety. How many of you are curious to know these? Let us know in the comment section. 1. Abdu Japarov, 1991. Abdu Japarov, an Uzbek cyclist, crashed into a barrier in a last-ditch effort and was knocked out of the race along with a few other competitors in the last seconds. Abdu Japarov's wrecking ball finish earned him a reputation as a selfish, aggressive rider, but luckily no one was seriously hurt. 2. Guerini Giuseppe, 1999. Even though this wreck wasn't the bloodiest, most people watching the 1999 Tour de France were shocked when Giuseppe Guerini slammed into a photographer on Alpe d'Huez. A man jumped in front of Guerini as he was about to cross the finish line for the greatest triumph of his career atop cycling's most recognizable peak. Guerini was cornered and had nowhere to turn as his pursuers closed in. In what must have been a terrifying moment for the Italian, Guerini was ultimately victorious thanks to a surge of adrenaline. 3. Laurent Jalabert in 1994. Constables are always present on the sidelines of the Tour de France in case of any emergencies. In Stage 2's outrageously fast sprint, cyclists reach speeds of above 60 km per hour. Police choose to take a break and enjoy the scenery by standing on the sidelines, utterly unprepared for the riders who will soon be speeding around the bend and straight at him. The police who witnessed this and reacted by diving into the crowd to avoid the panicking riders was the coolest part. What the other guy really needed are your reactions. While the cop walked away unscathed, the cyclist was changed forever. 4. 1985, Bernard Hinault. Throughout the 1980s, Hinault was widely regarded as France's greatest cycling hero. To win the Tour for the 6th time in 1985 was one of his primary goals. Until then, only Jacques Anquetil and Eddy Merckx had ridden to such a level of success. When he crashed in the final kilometer of Stage 14, landing on his head and fracturing his nose, he nearly had to abandon his hopes and goals. Hinault heroically climbed back on his bike and continued riding. Following a trail of blood, he crossed the finish line and won the Tour. 5. Johnny Hoogerland, 2011. Johnny Hoogerland's the 9th stage team car was sideswiped by an opposing team's vehicle with 36 kilometers remaining in the 2011 Tour de France. Even though it may seem terrible, the damage wasn't caused by the crash. Hoogerland and Juan Antonio Fleca, a Spaniard, were flung through a barbed wire fence. Hoogerland's leg wounds looked like they were straight out of a war film. It's been stated that years after the traumatic event, Hoogerland still experiences back discomfort, mood swings, and insomnia. Okay, so guys, till now we discussed 5 incidents of crashes that happened. These incidents are really scary and threatening. Tell me guys, what's your take on the video? And also do subscribe to the channel. 6. In Sandy, Kesar, 2007. Many of the drops on this list don't appear to be very steep at first glance, but keep in mind that they're traveling at high speeds. It's a lot like being dropped from a great height while dressed only in briefs and a helmet. The worst part of each of these disasters, however, is the seemingly little initial cause. Nothing bad ever happens at the Tour de France unless the tiniest, most insignificant details go wrong. This is true whether it's a dog, there are a frustrating number of dog accidents, a spectator, or just someone losing their balance. 7. Joseba Beloki year 2003. A particular hot day in 2003 prevented Joseba Beloki from challenging Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong. Beloki, who was in second place going into the day, skidded to a halt after he struck a puddle of melting tar on the road. In addition, Beloki was in the midst of a steep decline while Armstrong was sitting on his wheel. The incident itself was one of the worst in Tour de France history, but Lance Armstrong's split-second decision to avoid hitting Beloki by cutting across a field has made it famous. Beloki had a broken femur, elbow, and wrist, and didn't play again until 2004 as a result. 8. 1950 fun Wim van Est. When leader Van Est's tire went flat, he veered off the road and careened into a ravine 70 meters deep, plunging into the rocky ground below. Despite the fact that the Dutchman had not been wearing a helmet, he somehow recovered enough to continue racing. 9. Voigt Jens, 2009. Jens Voigt's terrifying disaster on the descent of the Col du Petit Saint-Bernard is one that cycling fans won't soon forget. When Voigt's front wheel hit a bump in the road, he was doing above 60 miles per hour and he went crashing to the ground face first. Worse then, a motorbike photographer following close behind almost ran him down. The TV cameras caught Voigt lying motionless for several minutes, with the majority of viewers holding their breath in shock. Voigt made it through the ordeal, but with a broken cheekbone and a serious concussion. 10. Marcus Burghardt, 2007. A rookie cyclist named Marcus Burghardt was involved in an accident during a stage of the 2007 Tour de France when he hit a dog that had been unleashed in the path of the racing cyclists. Thankfully, the dog seems to be doing great. Apparently, this was the only thing on the cameraman's mind as he filmed the dog's final moments before it meets its doom and then films the fall the biker takes while trying to avoid hitting the dog. The cameraman doesn't pause to see if the injured rider is okay. Instead, he keeps following the dog until it runs alongside someone who appears to be helping the animal. Jacobsen had undergone multiple reconstructive surgeries since the incident, but he doesn't know when he can race again. In a recent interview with the Dutch journal AD, he revealed that high speed and barriers caused his injuries. The barriers didn't stop my descent, they folded. Dangerous endings like in Poland must be forbidden. I won't join a group sprint if the barriers are bad, he mentioned, and we think this should be followed. That's all for the videos. Hope the video was informative enough and has awarded you about the major crashes that happened in the world. If the video was worthy then, do subscribe to the channel and like and share the video. Okay viewers, bye!